All right, let's jump into one of the most game-changing books of all time. Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, this is way more than just a book, you know? It's a whole framework for changing your life from the inside out. And honestly, it's more relevant today than ever. So, let's get into it.
So Covey kicks things off by pointing out this huge, kind of universal problem. You can have all the signs of success, right? The great job, the nice car, the whole shebang, but on the inside, you're just not feeling it. There's this inner hunger, this feeling that something's off. It's that gap between looking successful and actually feeling successful. And that's exactly what these habits are meant to fix.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the main conflict Covey talks about. Then, we'll get into the big mental shift you need to make. After that, we'll dive into the private victory, then the public victory, and we'll wrap it all up with the habit that keeps the whole system running, renewal. Let's do it.
So, where does that inner hunger even come from? Well, Covey's big idea is that somewhere along the line, our whole definition of success got turned upside down. This created a massive clash between two totally different ways of looking at the world.
And this is the core of it right here. For a long, long time, success was all about the character ethic. Think integrity, courage, honesty. It was about who you really are deep down. But then, things shifted to the personality ethic. Suddenly, it was all about your public image, quick-fix techniques, and how you appear to others. A total 180.
And here's the catch. The big but. The personality ethic, it's basically a short-term fix. It might work for a little while, but if you don't have real character to back it up, people can smell it a mile away, you know? It's just not genuine, and that creates distrust. You absolutely cannot build something real and lasting on a foundation that's fake.
Okay, so if the personality ethic is a dead end, what's the answer? Well, Covey says it all starts with a huge foundational shift. See, before you can change your actions, you first have to change the way you see everything.
And that lens has a name, a paradigm. The best way to think about it is like a map. A map isn't the actual city, right? It's just a representation of the city. Well, our paradigms are our mental maps. They're how we see, understand, and interpret the world, and they control pretty much everything we do.
So here's the million-dollar question. What if your map is just wrong? Imagine trying to get around in New York City using a map of Los Angeles. I mean, you could work harder, run faster, be more positive, but you're never, ever going to get where you need to go. The problem isn't your behavior, it's your map. The problem is how you're seeing the problem in the first place.
And this leads us to Covey's main solution, the inside-out approach. It's simple, really. Real, lasting change has to start on the inside. You've got to work on yourself first, your character, your habits. Those are the private victories. And only after you've won those can you even begin to think about the public victories, like having great relationships or being a good leader.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with the first 3 habits. Covey calls this whole set the private victory. This is all about mastering yourself and building that strong foundation of character. First up, habit 1, be proactive. This is huge. Basically, reactive people live in their circle of concern. They're always worried about things they can't change, blaming other people or their circumstances. If only I had this, if only I had that. But proactive people, they live in their circle of influence. They focus on what they can actually control, themselves. They think, I can be more this, I can be more that. They take responsibility. Next is habit 2, begin with the end in mind. Super simple concept, really. Everything is created twice. Think about it. Before you build a house, you need a blueprint, right? That's the first creation, the mental one. Then you actually build the house. That's the second creation, the physical one. Your life works the same way. You need a clear vision of where you're going before you can even start.
Then we have habit 3, put first things first. And this isn't your typical time management hack. It's about managing yourself. So look at this matrix. Most of us get stuck in quadrant I, just putting out fires all day. Or we waste time down in 3 and 4 on stuff that doesn't even matter. But the real magic, the secret sauce, happens in quadrant 2. This is the important stuff that isn't urgent yet. Planning, building relationships, preventing problems before they start. That's where highly effective people live.
Okay, so once you've gotten a handle on those first 3 habits, you're proactive, you know where you're going, and you're focused on what matters, you've achieved the private victory. Now you're ready for the public victory. This is where we go from being independent to truly interdependent. And the key idea for all of your relationships is this, the emotional bank account. It's such a brilliant metaphor. In every single relationship you have, you're either making deposits or withdrawals. When the trust balance is high, everything is smooth and easy.
But when that balance is low, oh boy, every little thing becomes a struggle.
So, how do you actually make deposits? Well, it's the simple things, really. Genuinely trying to understand people, keeping your promises, being clear about expectations. A huge one is showing integrity, like sticking up for someone when they're not in the room. And hey, we all mess up and make withdrawals, but a real, sincere apology, that can be one of the biggest deposits you'll ever make.
The next 3 habits are a perfect 1-2-3 punch. You start with habit 4, which is a mindset. Think win-win. It's about believing that a victory for you doesn't have to be a loss for someone else. Once you have that mindset, you can move to habit 5, the skill. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. You actually listen to people. And when you combine that mindset and that skill, you get to habit 6, synergize. That's where 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100. You create amazing new solutions together.
Okay, you've got the private victory, you've got the public victory. Awesome. But how do you make it last? How do you not just burn out? Well, that brings us to the final habit, the one that makes all the others possible.
And that's habit 7, sharpen the saw. The story goes like this. You see a guy frantically sawing at a tree, getting nowhere. You say, hey, why don't you stop and sharpen your saw? And he says, I can't, I'm too busy sawing. It sounds crazy, right? But we do it all the time. You are the saw. You have to take the time to invest in yourself. And sharpening that saw means taking care of yourself in 4 key areas. You've got the physical, exercise, eating right. The spiritual, connecting with your values, whatever that means to you. The mental, keeping your mind sharp by reading and learning. And finally, the social/emotional side, serving others, building those relationships. You need all 4 to stay balanced.
And the coolest part about this last habit, it creates what Covey calls an upward spiral of growth. The more you take care of yourself, the better you get at all the other habits. It's a cycle. You learn something new, you commit to it, you do it. And each time you go through that cycle, you're on a higher level. You're constantly getting better.
So I'm going to leave you with the one question Covey uses to get this whole ball rolling. Just think about it for a second. What is the one thing that you know you could be doing that you're not doing right now, that if you did it regularly would make a massive positive difference in your life? Whatever just popped into your head. That's it. That's your starting point.